The Alaskan Patrol is often man's ultimate test against nature. One of the most beautiful landscapes in the world can also be one of the most deadly.
I think it's a safe statement to make that all the air crews are, the pilots down to the guys in the back are all very aware of how dangerous it is to fly here if you make a mistake. There are constant reminders around us and everybody has stories.
One of those stories occurred in July of 1982. A C-130 carrying supplies to the remote Coast Guard Loran station on Attu Island and flying in extremely poor visibility crashed into a hillside. Tragically, one crewman and one passenger were killed. 9 others on board survived. One of the surviving crewmen continued flying C-130s and returned for duty in Kodiak 15 years later.
I just laid there and watched a few people come out of the wreck, some of them crying, others just like you see in TV. They wander around like they don't know what happened. And I just laid there, and then the plane slowly started to burn. It was just like a giant bonfire. Made me think a bit. You know, I was afraid I was going to die. I understand how the people feel who are in the ocean in a raft. I know exactly how they feel when they see the helicopter or the C-130 come, because I could hear the sound of the 52's blades, and I looked and you could see through the fog, just see the red and white helicopter, and the feeling was just euphoric. It was just like, I'm not going to die. I said, that's how those people that I go to rescue feel. The only time I think about it is when I get in bad weather. Then I start worrying or wondering. I had come to the realization that you never know what's going to happen, so you can't spend your whole life worrying about it. You just keep doing your job, and hopefully it'll never happen again.
Part of making sure it doesn't happen again is keeping the aircraft well maintained. It takes a lot of work to keep the airplanes flying and systems operating efficiently in the harsh Alaskan environment. For every hour the helicopters are flown, maintenance crews put in 14 hours of labor. For the C-130s, that time increases to almost 23 hours of maintenance for each flight hour.
It's a very tough and demanding job. A lot of people get frustrated on the maintenance aspect of things, because when something breaks, it'd be wonderful to walk back to the back counter, get the part you need, and fix the airplane. But more times than not, you're not going to have that luxury. Overnight is just not a word used for shipping to Kodiak, Alaska. It's a 2-day as a minimum.
If you're going to fly on it, you want it to be in the best condition, because it might be you out there flying on it. So it gives you a little extra incentive to do a good job and go the extra step to make sure that everything is done correctly.
Work has to be grade A, on top of the line, and anything less is not acceptable to bringing the people back safe.
So what is it really like for the 1,000 plus coasties and family members who call Kodiak home? The opinions are as extreme as the weather. Some hate it, most say they love it, but all agree it takes a lot of adjustment. Crews rely on each other for support and depend on the Coast Guard to help make their lives a little easier and a little more enjoyable in this isolated locale.
It's like a small town. We have our own police force, fire department. We provide the grocery store, the commissary, the personnel support. We provide the MWR, morale facilities, recreation, athletic programs for all their people.
They'll either, like the land of extremes, love it, or they'll hate it. Fortunately for us, most of the people at Kodiak fall in love with the place and want to extend.
On the days when it's beautiful, it's the most beautiful place in the whole world. It is just gorgeous here. And on the days when it's raining sideways and the wind is blowing, it's about the most god-awful place that I've ever seen. When you're around friends and family, it can feel like the warmest place in the world. And sometimes when you're alone, it can feel like the loneliest place in the world.
Whether the crews love or hate Kodiak, one factor remains a constant.
It's just a beautiful place to fly. It's unrestrained, and it's kind of like flying was maybe 30 years ago in the rest of the country. So it's, to me, it's one of the last frontiers of really exciting flying.
Each person stationed in Kodiak faces different challenges, whether it's the isolation, extreme weather, or just adjusting to a different lifestyle. But all agree, being stationed in Alaska is definitely the challenge of a lifetime.